This is a U.S.-China Media Brief produced by the UCLA Asian American Studies Center. The U.S.-China Media Brief features interviews with experts and other prominent individuals involved in studying and documenting the dynamic and ever-evolving relationship between the United States of America and the People's Republic of China. I'm Russell Leong, Director of the U.S.-China Media Brief of the UCLA Asian American Studies Center. Our purpose is to provide a more balanced view of U.S.-China relations for the U.S. media through our media brief and website. Yeah, I think two recent examples is that when the recent elections in Iran, they blamed sort of provocateurs in the U.S. for inciting some opposition.
Twitter, right?
Yeah, and then with the Uyghur in Urumqi, they also said, well, you know, a lot of the provocation was from certain groups of people in the U.S. So the U.S. has become it's easy to say, well, there are provocateurs outside of the country, and they are the ones who are, you know, inciting unrest. And since you're an historian of American history and also of, you know, modern Chinese history, so do you think that this is how would you view this type of blaming America for or using or blaming overseas provocateurs for a country's internal unrest, you know?
I think, the two things that is, one thing is the CIA has been active in many places and many things, that's a fact. The other thing is not everything is directed by the American government. For example, about the Urumqi riot, I think we only named the fund of democracy. We didn't say the American government, actually. And the American government, actually one report said that we appreciated American attitude. That is, be more neutral on this thing. And this is, I think, the cleverness of the American government, of the Obama administration. Certainly, the Iranian thing is they blame more the British rather than the Americans. That's one thing. I think, any kind of big mess sort of thing is not purely a thing that is directed from outside. There must be mass bases inside. Otherwise, I don't think we could, mobilize, say, 5,000 or 10,000 people in Beijing, to do one thing, if you don't have that basis. So this sort of basis was there. And I think after dealing with all those, the rioters and all those killing and things, because that's a criminal act, after handling that, I think we need to turn back and see whether there are things that we can improve. So that is also one of the things.
Now, do you think from the Chinese point of view that events, incidents, which could be very provocative, they should be reported differently for the Chinese people and for the international press, because the international press, usually looks at China in one way and has certain expectations, whereas the domestic consumption of news or events might be different, So
I think for the facts and the analysis, I think it should be equal. I don't think in the past in China, that is in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, we did have one slogan, 内外有别. That is, there is a difference between domestic consumption and foreign consumption abroad. For news, that is to say. What you should say to the people may not be suitable for saying to the foreigners. And actually, even within the people at that time, the reports would be very different. For example, natural disaster, the death toll. I mean, the real death toll might be told to, say, cadres above certain rank. And a different figure would be given to other people. And in the newspaper, you wouldn't see the death toll. Now, that was also, I mean, the differentiations of that. That was the practice in the past. Now, this influence, I wouldn't say is already out of the way. It might still be at certain times at work. But this is a wrong thing. This is a wrong thing. The real situation, if you can provide it, I think it will at least deprive the Western media one excuse. That is, we couldn't know the real situation. They saw that, they knew that, and then if they reported it differently, then you could say, now, you see, you didn't do the right thing. That will be the advantage for us.
Now, let me ask you, at the Beijing Foreign Studies University, I'm sure American studies is a very prominent part of your studies, and with the sort of increasing relationship of China with, say, Africa and Latin America, are those and other perhaps global nations and concerns, are these studies becoming kind of emerging or very prominent here at the university? Or how is American studies positioned in relation to studies of other regions in the kind of global picture?
I think American studies still is the strongest in our university. For one reason, that is for the School of English and International Studies, we have 6 centers. We have American Studies, we have British Studies, we have Ireland Studies, we have Canadian Studies, we have Australian Studies. Now these are, but some of them are latecomers, so they need to develop. The other thing is, well, no matter how you look at it, the thing, the United States is still the only superpower in the world. Its importance is there. So American studies would be the priority. That is also reasonable. As to other regional studies, I think the thing is it has to go to, say, the Middle East study would have to go to the Arab department. The African study would have to go to our African department, language department. But these departments, their students actually started from scratch. They had no knowledge of Arab or no knowledge of Swahili or other languages in Africa. They started from the ABC. So this was a constraint on their research in area studies, because they don't have the target audience. The students too low for that because of their language. And the teachers in the past have never been trained along this line. So we are trying to shift the orientation, but it's still a long and a difficult task.
The preceding copyrighted program is a property of the University of California, Los Angeles. All rights reserved. It may be used freely for educational and not-for-profit activities. For other uses or to make an inquiry, please contact the Asian American Studies Center at UCLA.